Hi, friends. Welcome to Beautifully Bookish Bethany. Today we're talking about the best mystery and thriller books that I read in 2024. We're coming to the end of all my end of year content. I think I've got two more left next week, and that'll wrap it up. I've got best sci-fi, and then my stats video will be the two things. So if you're haven't seen anything previously, you can find earlier videos with my overall best of 2024 and superlatives, best fantasy, best horror, and best romance. But today we're talking mystery thrillers, which should be fun. I've got 16 books that made this list, and we're going to count down from number 16 to number 1. And I do have slides. I'm just going to give it a minute so people can show up, but feel free to skip forward if you are watching this later on. Hi, how is everybody? Happy Friday. Cold is finally about to let up in New York, which is very exciting. It has been freezing cold this week, y'all. Okay, let's go ahead and pull up my slides. So, top 16 mystery and thrillers of 2024. Note that not all of these books were published in 2024. Some were prior to. I even have a couple of 2025 releases that I read early. These were my favorite books in these genres that I read in 2024. And, this was my own opinion and what I enjoyed. So, again, we're going to start with number 16, and we will move to number 1. Coming in at number 16, this I feel is maybe controversial, but it's also a big bestseller. The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I don't know that I would have picked this up, except I did it for a video project and I ended up really enjoying it. So I did this video where I used the Cameo app where you can pay celebrities to make videos for you. And I hired 3 of the contestants on the last season of Love is Blind to recommend me a book. And The Housemaid was one of the recommendations I got from those videos, and I liked it. I didn't know how I felt about it in the first half. I was like, I don't know about this, but then things switched, and I did find the ending to be really satisfying. I see why this is popular. It's compulsively readable. I feel like for people who are big readers in the genre, I see people saying it was kind of predictable, but I don't know. I wasn't expecting it and I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. So that's my number 16. I have not read book 2, but I know there is a second in the series, and the ending does kind of set you up for that. Number 15 is a Stephen King. This is The Institute. I feel like he doesn't really need my help with things, but I did enjoy this. I read it this year. It had been sitting on my bookshelf for a long time, and this is another one that I feel like some people don't like that much. Is it a thriller? Sort of. It's like got some paranormal elements to it. So this follows kids who are kidnapped from their homes and taken to this institute, and they're kids with like paranormal abilities like psychic or telekinetic or like things like that, and they're medically experimented on, and it's pretty horrific, but I feel like the ending is more positive. There were a lot of it wasn't perfect, but there was a lot that I liked about it. It was another one that I found really easy to read, and I liked it. It was good. I don't read as much in this genre, so I feel like coming up with this list was interesting because it was like in fantasy and romance, I have so many things to pick from, but still, everything that made it onto the top 16 were things that I really liked. So, number 14 is Do What Godmother Says by L.S. Stratton. This was really interesting because it's got a little bit of a Gothic element to it, and it's in 2 timelines. So one of them is contemporary Washington, D.C., and the other one is set in New York during the Harlem Renaissance. And there is a mystery surrounding this painting of a young woman, and the woman in the painting, we're following her she was an artist, and we're following her life during the Harlem Renaissance, and there's Gothic elements to it and twists. I wanted more of the historical timeline. It definitely focuses more on the contemporary one than what we got, but overall I liked it. I thought it was interesting where this ended up going, and I would read more from this author. So it was a good one. Number 13 is part of a series that I really love, Rough Pages by Lev A.C. Rosen. This is book 3. The first book was Lavender House. So these are set in like I think 1950s or so in I want to say San Francisco. I think it's 1950s San Francisco, but we're following a is it or is it Chicago? I can't remember. It, it's one of the two. But it's set in like the 1950s, and we follow this inspector who is gay. He works as a private investigator. He was previously a cop and got outed and kicked out of the police force, and now he investigates mysteries on behalf of the queer community. And it's a time when things were really dangerous for people who were queer, and there was a lot of hiding and a lot of things that were going on. So it's really interesting historically. It deals with some difficult subject matter, but in a way that I think it's handled really well. And I like that the whole series is sort of following the plot arc of the main character. So each story has its own mystery, and each book has its own mystery, but then there's also the overarching story of the inspector as we're going along. So this one follows the disappearance of a bookstore owner who secretly sends out queer books to a mailing list, and people are worried that maybe the mailing list got out, that the FBI would be like investigating it and stuff. And so he's trying to figure out what happened. Again, I really liked it. I thought it was good. I think the whole series is great. Would recommend if you're interested. Number 12 is Where Sleeping Girls Lie by Farida Abika Iyamide. I loved her debut novel, Ace of Spades, and I also quite liked this one. This one is more of a mystery. The other one leaned a little more horror. This one has some gothic elements to it, but it's got secrets at a not girls, at a boarding school, and I don't know. I feel like I can't say too much about this because um spoilers. But it's got a little bit of a gothic vibe to it. There's a lot of messiness and secrets and drama. This one is YA, but I quite liked it. I thought it was good. Yay! I'm assuming this is about Rough Pages. Yeah, it's really good. I hope you'll check it out. The whole series is great. I feel like I would love to see more people pick it up, honestly. I feel like it's underhyped. All right. Coming in at number 11, this is really fun. Icon and Inferno by Marie Lu. So she has been writing this series, and they're really fun. This is the second book in a series. It is like YA thrillers with spies and a pop star who is involved in this spy network. And they're just like a lot of fun. There's a little bit of a romantic element to it, lots of action and adventure. And one thing that is kind of fun is if you are a fan of Marie Lu, you will notice that this series is also kind of a prequel to some of her more sci-fi stuff. That it is set in the same universe as like Wild Card and stuff, and there are some little Easter egg references for people who know it. So that I think is really fun, but this is more of like an action adventure spy mystery thriller series, and I really enjoyed it. I love this. Enjoyed Lavender House and plan to read the second book in the series soon. Yay. That's great to hear. Yeah, I really like all of them. Number 10, this was an unexpected one, and I'm not sure where you can get it. I think maybe from Brandon Sanderson's website, Long Chills and Case Dough. This is a a novella, a very short novella, almost short story, like a novel. I don't know, what do you call shorter than but novelette? I don't know what those are called. But I thought this was delightful. It was entertaining, kind of a tongue-in-cheek uh, so it's sort of like the noir vibes, right? Like mystery noir vibes, but set in a futuristic setting, which is really interesting. So we have a private detective who is like really committed to the bit of being like an old school 1920s style detective and using the language that they would, but he's solving cases in the future in like a futuristic sci-fi world. And I thought it was really fun and entertaining and delightful, and the way that the mystery ended up resolving itself was interesting, and I wasn't expecting it. So if you can get your hands on this, I ended up with it because I did his Kickstarter and they sent it out as like a little surprise bonus as an ebook, and it was really fun, but I think you can probably get it from his website. So, hey Beth. So yeah, this was one that I didn't expect was fun. Okay, perfect. You were able to get it from his website. Yeah. So go check that out there. That was a fun one. And it's very short. Number 9 is The Bitter End by Alexa Dunn. This is a isolated closed circle murder mystery with messy teen drama set at a remote cabin up in the mountains on a ski trip for school. And it does a lot of flashbacks to this party that happened freshman year when some really wild stuff happened, and then to now. And people keep dying, and like you're it's sort of like a, okay, who is the killer and why? But also everybody has a secret, and all the characters are pretty morally gray. It was really fun. I liked it a lot, would recommend. I think her mysteries are generally really great. I note that, like, and there's a couple people in this that I have to say, I am friends with Alexa, but I started reading her books before I became friends with her and have always liked them, but that is my caveat. There's like a couple books on this list that are written by people I know. Do with that what you will, but genuinely, I really liked it. It was great. Number 8 is another controversial one, but I thought this was so fun. It's the most bonkers thing that I read this year, and I found it delightful. You Shouldn't Have Come Here by Geneva Rose. So this is a thriller about a woman who gets an Airbnb for a vacation at this remote small town, and she's sharing a house with the owner of the Airbnb on this ranch, and he is this very attractive guy, and they seem to have chemistry. But this is a thriller. It's not a romance. And it is the most bonkers thing. The ending is wild. I loved it. I thought it was really fun. One of the things that I liked a lot about this that I think bugged some people is that she sort of takes romance conventions and like things you would hear in romance and then makes them creepy. There's like lines in here that I'm like, oh my God, this is hilarious, because like the same sort of thing would happen in a romance and be romantic, but because of the context and because of the way that she frames it, the same thing comes off as creepy here. And I just thought it was kind of fun and brilliant, and I really liked it a lot. So maybe not everybody's cup of tea, but if you like a good bonkers thriller, I do recommend this one. It was a real good time. Yay! I'm glad you're loving Bitter End. Yes, I think all of her thrillers are good. I know she's been working on an adult one, so I would be really interested to see what that ends up looking like. All right. Number 7, Ruth Ware's latest book, One Perfect Couple. This was so up my alley. I generally love Ruth Ware. Her writing just works for me. The way she does characters really work for me. And this is different from other things she's done. I am a sucker for a reality TV sort of spin in a book, and I thought this was a really fun one for that. So the basic premise of this is we've got a woman who is a scientist who's struggling in her job. Her longtime boyfriend is a aspiring actor slash model, and he really wants them to go on this reality TV show. And she doesn't really want to, but she ends up agreeing to do it, even though like their relationship is also kind of not the best. So they go on this TV show where they're taken to this remote island with a bunch of other couples, and they'll have to do challenges and maybe date other people, and the goal is to see like who's the perfect couple at the end, right? But they go and everything goes wrong, and it turns into a survival thriller but also people are dying, and you got to figure out what's going on. I really enjoyed this. I also liked that one of, and this is not exactly a spoiler, but like content warning, I guess, is that this one of the things that this deals with is domestic violence, but I appreciated the way that it did it. Um, yeah, I thought this was really good. This was number 7 for me. Number 6 is the other one by someone who I do know. We're mutuals and friendly on the app. This is Tender, or on the internet, Tender Beasts by Lizelle Sambury. Um, this was great. My favorite book from her is Delicious Monsters, one of my favorite books that I read the year it came out, but this was also really good. And this one is more of, I was expecting it to be more horror, but it's really less that. It is more of like a mystery thriller genre than horror, I would say. And it's dealing with it. Oh, like what can I say about this book? So a lot of it is about messy family dynamics, toxic family dynamics, and what it's like to be in a family where you have to perform a certain way, but there are secrets under the surface. And it's also about relationships between siblings. So the main character is this girl who feels like she always has to be perfect. And part of her character arc is learning to let go of that, learning that she doesn't have to be, but also there are deaths happening. It's also got like culty vibes and like an elite academy thing. So if any of those keywords jump out at you, I do recommend it. I won't go into any more detail because I don't want to spoil things, but this wasn't what I was expecting, but it was really good. It was great. Number 5, The Lies We Conjure by Sarah Henning. This was so good. It is a blend of murder mystery and fantasy, and I loved it. So the premise of this, it is YA, and it follows two girls who are sisters who are hired by this old woman who they don't know to go to a dinner at a fancy estate near them and pretend to be her granddaughters. And so they say yes and don't know what they're getting themselves into, because when they show up, everybody at the dinner has magic and they're from these competing magical families. And the hostess is murdered. And then everybody is trapped on this estate until they can solve her murder. And they're still pretending to be these girls who would be comfortable with all of this, but that's not actually who they are. It's very interesting, very twisty. It's got multi POVs. And if you like kind of like an isolated murder mystery and some magic thrown in, I thought this was really good. Yeah, it's it's wild. It's really great. It's a standalone, so I do recommend it. Number 4 is a novella. I could have put this in sci-fi, but I decided to put it here instead because it is really a cozy mystery. This is Murder by Memory by Olivia Waite. I loved this and I really hope it turns into a whole series. I think in theory it's supposed to. It's so fun. It is a cozy mystery set in space, and it's set on this spaceship that's traveling to another habitable planet for like generations. And so they've come up with this technology where they can save people's memories and then grow new bodies for them as their bodies age and download their personality and memories into the new body so that they can live. Um, and so what happens is that somebody has been murdered because they've been killed, but also all of their memories have been erased. And the main character who is solving it is a like a middle-aged lesbian woman who likes knitting. She's delightful. And so she is investigating the murder on this spaceship. And it's great, fantastic. So I really hope we get more books by her. But if you like cozy mysteries and you want something with a sci-fi element, I highly recommend this. It comes out in March. So this is a 2025 release, actually, but it's coming out soon. I just read it early. And I love Olivia Waite already. She writes great sapphic historical romances. And so it's interesting seeing her move into a different subgenre. Number 3, something that I don't know if I would have picked up, but it was for an in-person book club, and I really liked it. This is Blood Sisters by Vanessa Lilly, and I loved this. So it is um, it's a mystery following an Indigenous woman who is an archaeologist who works for the Bureau of Indian Affairs. And her sister has gone missing and she's called in to investigate because there's like bones left and she specializes in like bones and stuff. But she ends up getting pulled into this whole web of secrets and underground things that are going on, and then has like and she hasn't been home to see her family in years, so they've got a complicated relationship. There's a lot going on here, and the pacing of this is really interesting. I didn't end up minding it, I loved it, but just to know, it's pretty, like, slower paced in the first half of it, and then it hits a point where it just picks up, and it's like breakneck action through the end with twists that I did not see coming. Um, it's really great, and it's dealing with missing and murdered Indigenous women, which I think is a really important topic. I loved it. I think this is excellent. Highly recommend it. It's a debut, and it's a really good debut. I would love to read more from this author in the future, so recommend checking this out if you haven't heard of it, and I'm so glad that this book club I went to got me to pick it up. Number 2 is another 2025 release. This just came out in January, I think. It was a book of the month pick that you could get, A Killing Cold by Kate Ellis Marshall. I mean, fair warning, I love Kate Ellis Marshall's writing, like, it always works for me. But this was great. It is, again, like, kind of an isolation thriller, and it follows a woman who has just gotten engaged, and she is going to meet the family of her fiance, her fiance's wealthy family, who own this whole estate with all of these cabins in this remote snowy place, right? She's going for Christmas. So the thing about it is that she was adopted. She's estranged from her adoptive parents, and she doesn't remember the first few years of her life. And so when she arrives to their estate, things seem weirdly familiar. And his family doesn't seem to like her, and things kind of go from there. And I thought this was really good. Again, there were some twists I did not see coming. I thought it was great. It was really satisfying. I love Kate Ellis Marshall, so if you like her writing, I do recommend this. And then lastly, my favorite of this genre for the year was It Waits in the Forest by Sarah Dass. This was pitched more as horror, and I don't know that it's got some horror elements, but I don't think I would call it horror. It's really more of like a mystery, um, yeah, more of a mystery with some like thriller and horror elements to it. It's upper YA, and it's drawing on Caribbean mythology and follows a girl who is orphaned. Her parents were killed, and she is in a relationship with a toxic boyfriend, and there are mysteries. So there are paranormal elements to it. It's got horror elements to it, but it reads more like a kind of a mystery. And I thought it was great. I loved it. The ending, again, really satisfying, and yeah, I won't say more than that, but I think this was really good. So, yeah, those were my top 16 mystery thrillers that I read in 2024. I think you can tell I mostly read a lot of other genres because even within this, so many of them are, like sci-fi mystery or like a fantasy thriller, like a lot of like genre bending stuff. But if you follow me, maybe you're into that as well. So hopefully you'll go check out some of these. Yeah, Blood Sisters is great. Highly recommend it. And I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for hanging out with me. I really liked all of them. You can find them linked down below. And like I said, still to come next week, you'll be getting my best sci-fi books of the year, and then my big 2024 stats video where we're going to be all nerdy about charts and graphs and reading stats for the year. So have a wonderful weekend, everybody. And if you know about Blades and Bodice Rippers book club. That is happening over on Leanna's channel tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to be talking about Picnic at Hanging Rock by Joan Lindsay, so should be fun. And we always have like a costume theme as well, so come hang out with us over there if you want. But yeah, have a great weekend. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all next time. Let me know in the comments down below if you're watching this now or if you're watching it on replay. What was your favorite mystery thriller that you read in 2024? I'm like trying to remember not to say 2025 because 2024, but I'll see you all next time. Bye.